right about now. All right. Well, welcome to another episode of the Spurs Rewind. I'm your host, Joe Garcia, and I'm going to be joined by our usual suspects here. We're going to be joined by the one and only Vicky Vic. Vicky, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
We have lots to talk about. News broke before everybody got out for work. Everybody's at work, and you're like, oh, crap, look what's going on. Tons of news breaking today about the Spurs. And we're also going to be joined by the one and only Rocky Garza Jr. Rocky, how's it going?
Good. How are you, Joe?
Doing good. Now that we're all together here, we can go ahead and talk about the breaking news. The Spurs were involved in a three-team deal. So the Spurs actually traded Juancho Hernangomez to, I believe it was the Utah Jazz. And then they had the Portland Trailblazers involved as well. There's so much going on. And then we had, in return, we wind up picking up a guard of all things, and then we get a second round pick. And this is much to the dismay of many Spurs fans out there. They weren't really happy with the actual deal itself because it wasn't sexy by any means. But the thing is with this deal is that it's a smart deal, and that's the thing that the Spurs are doing things the right way. They're actually starting to get together a little bit of some picks here for the second round because right now per Colin Reed, I was seeing that on Twitter earlier. The Spurs actually don't own the rights to their second round picks this season and next season. So by them garnering some second round picks, that's good. That bodes well for them in the future. And I think that's what they're kind of setting themselves up for the future. So the whole gist of this, per Adrian Wojnarowski, this three-team deal that went down, the Utah Jazz are acquiring Portland's Nikolai Alexander Walker. The Spurs, they trade Juancho Hernan Gomez in a three-way deal. And the Spurs, in return, they get Tom Sadronowski, which is, I believe, a 6'7" guard, and they get a second round pick. And the Blazers are going to get Joe Ingles, Elijah Hughes, and a second round pick. So that's the way the whole deal broke down. Let's get reactions real quick. We'll start with you, Vicky. What did you think about this? Because I know you were probably at work and you were like, oh,
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of just shocking. I don't really know. Um, I didn't expect anything like this to happen today. I think last week we said we gave our predictions on what the Spurs were going to do, and I was kind of like, I don't really know if they're going to do anything at this point. But now the whole Bryn Forbes trade makes a lot more sense. I think they were, kind of trying to figure out a way to just sort of, up
they
their.
flipped him. They flipped Bryn
They
Forbes.
did. They did, and it was totally unexpected. I don't think many people saw what was going on then. I think everyone was just kinda like, "Why'd they get another big?" So yeah, it was interesting. It's pretty cool. Excited to see what happens. Now, I don't know if Satoransky, is that how you say his name? I don't know if he's gonna stay on the roster. I mean, I don't know if they're trying to build some sort of capital, for a larger trade before tomorrow, but if he does stick around, I think he's a good, like you said, step up from Bryn. And I don't know. It's exciting. It's cool to see that they did something, at least anything before the deadline.
It's something. The other shoe that I need to drop is Thad Young. While this is exciting because in turn you get to get
Sean.
some cap space, basically at the end of the season because when you go ahead and acquire this guard, I even forgot his name again. It's like this is how much I know about the kid.
Thomas
Thomas
Satoransky.
Saturnatsky or whatever, however you say his name. His
Tomas
contract, yeah,
Satoransky.
his contract actually expires at the end of this season. So you can
Mhm.
essentially free yourself of $10 million. So the Spurs, I believe that's the play. They're gonna want to go ahead and hopefully get something for Thad Young. And the thing is that it would alienate fans to no end, knowing that once again the team is having to buy out another player and you're getting nothing in return for them. And that's not a good business move on your part. It's a bad look because the Spurs, what they're doing, much like with Damari Carroll, They just sat him. They paid a lot of money for a player and they just sat him because for whatever reason they just felt like he didn't fit with the team, and that's a bad look on the Spurs part, I believe. Because it sends a message to other prospective free agents, and they're like, well, if we don't fit with the team, they're just going to sit us, buy us out, and let us go. So I'm hoping they can find a deal that works out. But again, it's going to be hard to find a club, that's going to go ahead and want to absorb that $13 million salary of Thad Young, which is, everybody needs a veteran, but you don't necessarily want to overpay for them. But in return, what are the Spurs going to get? And if you're going to trade him to another team, they're going to have to go ahead and make cap space on their roster, or on their team. So they might have to move some pieces and maybe get another team involved. So it's hard to just say, hey, let's get that off this team. It's easier said than done, But Rocky, what was your reaction to this three-way deal that broke, about the Spurs making a trade?
Well, I was driving and my friend called me and he made it seem like they just did the hugest trade in the road. And I was like, oh, like, what is it? So I pulled over and I look and I'm like, I see Joe Ingles. I'm like, okay, like personally, Joe Ingles is one of my favorite players. It's kind of just like an inside thing for me. But like, I was like, we got Joe Ingles, but it was like Thomas Satoransky. And I was like, oh, and like, I know who he is. And I saw him play in the Olympics, but I was like, I mean, I guess. And I saw that the second round pick got added. So I was like, okay, that's good, and I understand it. But there's a lot of fans who are like, why in the hell are we adding a 30-year-old point guard? Like, what does that do for the team? And but you got to realize we're only going to keep him for 2 more months, and then we're most likely not going to retain him. But, I mean, maybe he does get a shot at some minutes just to see what he can do. Because, I mean, Juancho wasn't playing that much, but, I mean, it was bound that we weren't going to keep him most likely as well. But the big thing is they flipped Bryn Forbes to 2 second-round picks. They're just piling those picks, and like y'all said, those picks can be allocated, maybe put together in a package to do even a bigger deal for a star. So it's a good deal on that. But I do want to see Thad move, but like you said, it's very hard said than done.
Yeah, and we had some comments here. I just put them on the screen. John Diaz, our friend John Diaz here. I guess I have to return my Juancho jersey now.
Aww.
Me too, John. Me too.
Katie B is saying, thank you for watching, first of all, from YouTube. She puts, do you think Trey Jones may be traded to a team that needs a backup point guard? He is no longer available for tonight's game. Look, and I saw that as well on the injury, injury report that came out maybe 30 minutes ago. It just came and they just said, hey, Trey Jones, it's been announced that he's no longer going to be available for, the Cleveland game due to a dental procedure, So you can take that for what it's worth. Maybe he is. They are shopping him around and they don't want him to get injured, So let's go ahead and sit the kid out, see what happens. It'd be interesting to me if maybe they have to go ahead and package him with Thad Young, and maybe they have to get another team involved, and maybe he might not even be packaged with that. He might be there, but he might be traded to another team, clearing cap space, whatever they got to do to make things work. I kind of like Trey Jones, though, so I don't know if I really want to see the kid go, but you only have so many roster spots to go around, so I get the end of at the end of the day, it's all about the business. So just a little quick excerpt here too from Paul Garcia, and he put up there on Twitter just a couple minutes ago that the Spurs let all free agents walk and they waived players on non-guaranteed deals. He said they can open a max of $38.3 million and, of course, cap space next summer, which is not a bad deal at all. And he also put something on here. He says with the 7th pick, Lonnie's cap hold on all non-guaranteed players, Collins, Eubanks, Keita Bates-Diop, Landale Jones, all on the roster. The Spurs are projected to have $18.8 million in cap space this summer. Without Lonnie's cap hold, that goes to $32.1 million in cap space that would be available. Not a bad deal at all, because that means that you can actually go after somebody. And Peter Atonis put on here, go get Beal. Okay, we get, everybody wants a quality player. A lot of Spurs fans have been saying they want Bradley Beal. I've been seeing that all over Twitter, and I get it. They want to get a quality player to make the team better because they are missing something, So it's either going to be done through trade, it's going to be done through the draft, or you're going to have to go after a free agent. Something's got to give, So I'm sure that the Spurs are trying to set themselves up to do one of these things, What does your gut tell you, though, Vicky? Do you think that the Spurs are done dealing, or you feel that there's one more move at play?
I mean, I think there's the potential for another move. I think the backcourt is so stacked right now, and I've thought this since the beginning. They just have so many guards, and then they got another one. So, I mean, yeah, I don't feel like any of the guards are safe now until we hit that deadline. And that scares me because not only like Trey, but the other ones that are being discussed, maybe even a big name, one of the Spurs, not DeJounte, obviously, but I don't know, potentially somebody who's making more of an
Well, Jakob
impact.
has been named, in some trades.
Yeah, and Jakob is being looked at heavily if it's, a right price. I don't know. I don't know if the Spurs would go for it. So I still feel like nobody is really safe at this point. I think DeJounte, and he's pretty much it. I think next is Jakob. They're pretty much, the Spurs are going to take care of them. They're going to want to keep them. But I mean, right now it's kind of totally up in the air. Anything could happen. And like I said, if the price is right, I think, yeah, someone out of the Spurs guards could potentially be traded.
And another thing that could play out too, what if the Spurs go ahead and trade the guy they just got,
Yeah.
Stradanowski, and they could
Mhm.
possibly go ahead and trade him, within hours
Another
of
thing I've
making this
been
trade.
thinking. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not sure how attached they are. Yeah. I think they're
You know,
trying to build some sort of package. I do, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm
see how it all
nervous.
plays out.
As long as they
Rocky,
don't touch
Rocky,
Derek.
Rocky, before we go ahead and move on to our next segment here, what does your heart tell you? You think the Spurs are done dealing, or do you feel that there's still a play?
I think that they're going to be done dealing. I mean, historically, they've never been really people to trade. I mean, fans get their hopes up every year, and it's unfortunate that they just get let down every single year. I mean, the most you're probably going to see traded was just what just happened this past couple weeks. With a Forbes trade, and then today, it's just really always random. You never see them make a big splash. I know they had been rumored for a while to that Ben Simmons. That's unlikely to even happen with the Nets and Sixers. Just I can just imagine the backlash. What would happen if Ben Simmons came here and say we moved a huge package deal? But anything can happen realistically. But if I had to place my money on anything, I don't think anything else is going to happen. They're going to ride with the rest of the team of the year, and then going into the offseason, we'll see what's going to happen. I mean, they'll address that problem then.
Yeah, but at least the Spurs are going to have some second round picks available. And again,
Mhm.
per Colin Reed, our very own Colin Reed of Project Spurs, the Spurs don't own the rights to their second round picks for this
Yeah.
season nor next season. So any picks that they're going to get that are going to be second round picks are going to be for the foreseeable future, probably within the next 3 seasons from now and moving beyond that as well. Hopefully, they're not protected picks either. We need to stop with that. So
Yeah.
again, picks are picks. You can go ahead and either trade them, or make a move and see what you can get and maybe work with some players. But Spurs definitely need some help. Yeah, and Eric Bessina's in here. Thanks, Eric, for watching on YouTube. He says Stradowski is a guard, so 2 players to buy out. We don't know yet.
Mhm.
The Spurs could essentially go ahead and trade him as well. So we don't know. And if we go ahead and if the Spurs go ahead and just keep him, his contract is going to go ahead and expire at the end of this season. So that means that his $10 million salary would come off the books. So that would actually help with the cap space, as we had kind of noted just a couple minutes ago. So moving forward here, we're going to go ahead and move on and talk about our next subject, and that would be one DeJounte Murray being named to the NBA All-Star Game. He was named to the NBA All-Star Game as a reserve per the commissioner, NBA commissioner Adam Silver, for one Draymond Green, who is injured and couldn't go. So great, decision by Adam Silver. And you know what? This is actually a big deal. And it wasn't just a big deal that DeJounte got named to the NBA All-Star Game, and it's a big deal for the Spurs organization as a whole. It actually makes the Spurs a little bit more attractive now because they have a bona fide NBA All-Star, which could
Mhm.
potentially attract maybe some free agents looking to pair themselves with an NBA All-Star type of point guard. Look at what DeJounte's been doing this season and the numbers that he's been putting up. You look at him almost every other night, flirting with at least a triple double. Even some nights he gets close to kind of flirting a little bit with the quadruple double, the coveted quadruple double, as he did a couple games ago. So he's playing at a high level. I think that's going to be attractive to some teams, but I was really excited for one DeJounte when he did get named to the NBA All-Star Game because you saw the disappointment in him when he just didn't get the nod outright, didn't get voted in by the fans, nor did he get voted in by the players or the coaches. But his redemption story is one of, like you could just write a movie script about, the kid that was overlooked because they said he had some personal issues in the NBA draft. Spurs took a chance on him, and now look at the gamble paid off. The kid overcame injury and a lot of other personal obstacles that were in front of him, and he's an NBA All-Star. He said that he was told he was going to be an NBA All-Star by none other than Coach Pop, and Coach Pop went ahead and called him, and he just broke down and started crying, telling his family. So it was a special moment there, So that just goes to show you how special that relationship is with Coach Pop, and the players. So Vicky, what was your reaction when you first heard that he was named to the NBA All-Star game?
I was shocked. I didn't I guess I wanted it to happen and he totally deserved it, but I just, I'm so used to everybody like sleeping on the Spurs and it was a bit of a shock. I was just expecting him to be, looked over for somebody else. It happened last year and it's, happened repeatedly other years. So yeah, I was really happy. I'm very happy for him. I think he definitely deserves it. He's one of the best at what he does in the league, and I think, like I said yesterday, he was recognized by other players, which is huge because having that support from his peers, I think, really was a resounding effect on the league, and maybe even the commissioner kind of listened to those voices because yeah, he's getting recognized by people. He's getting, talked up by different people. And I think that's helpful. It's good for him. It's good for the Spurs. So yeah, it's just a good accolade to add to his, you know, his his accomplishments as well as the Spurs right now and make them a little bit more attractive to other players.
Yeah. So same to you, Rocky. What was your initial reaction to DeJounte Murray being named to the NBA All-Star game?
I have to agree with Vicky. I was, a bit shocked and surprised. Personally, I thought Anthony Edwards was going to be making it. Usually, you see in All-Star selections based on how the team record is, they usually get the nod. But going back to how you said that the Spurs fans and the Spurs team should be proud we have a bona fide All-Star. Personally, I believe DeMar should have made the All-Star team last year, and they should have had a bona fide All-Star last year. But I was really surprised, real happy for DeJounte. You saw his story, but I was real kind of confused on some fans were saying, like, oh, he only got in because replacement. That's the excuse. And they were kind of just like being Debbie Downers about it. But I'm like, if you're really a fan, like, why are you going to be a Debbie Downer about it? You want to see your players succeed. You're going to cheer for them no matter what. And it's good, Why be so negative on him? Just making fun of him, saying, oh, he wouldn't have made it. He personally deserved it, and there's no reason to be down about it. You just got to just move on to the team and be happy that we're having San Antonio represented in Cleveland now.
Yeah, it's always a good
Exactly.
thing, to have one of your own be represented at the NBA All-Star game. It's a great honor, not just for DeJounte as an individual player, but as the city as a whole too. Your city is being represented at this, worldwide event. Everybody's watching this all over the place,
Mm-hmm.
the
Right.
NBA All-Star game. So it says a lot, about what DeJounte's done as an individual player and what it means, not just, beyond just him getting that accolade, but what it does for the team and the city as a whole. So I was very proud of him for making that NBA All-Star game, even though he
Mm-hmm.
might have just got in, as they said, by default, being named as a
Yeah.
reserve. You're still an all-star. It doesn't matter. I'm excited for him. I was very happy. I know there was a faction of the fan base who was still not happy at all. They went to great lengths to discount that. Oh yeah, look at the record, and you got an NBA All Star. I'm like, what does it matter? We have to have something to look
Exactly.
forward to in this type of season that we're having. It's not about the wins or the losses right now. I think we all kind of know that, and we're looking at Dejounte being named an NBA All Star. This was something that was a gift for all Spurs fans to get excited about, not to go ahead and just diss it as, it
Yeah.
doesn't really matter. It does matter, and I'm proud of him. So Spurs fans, if you're excited for Dejounte, good for you. If you're not, well, we'll pray for you. You know, it's simple as that. But another thing that we're
Exactly.
going to talk about right now too is the snub that both Keldon Johnson and Doug McDermott got by not being named to the three-point shooting contest. The NBA released its roster of players who made the three-point shooting contest for this year's 2022 NBA All-Star. game, and it was Desmond Bain, Luke Kennard, Zach Levine, C.J. McCollum, and the San Antonio Spurs former player Patty Mills, Carl Anthony Towns, Van Vliet, and Trey Young. So congratulations to those players. Congratulations specifically to former San Antonio Spurs player Patty Mills for making that 3-point shooting contest. I'm going to be vying for Patty to win it because he was a Spur. But what
Yeah.
do you think about the snub, Rocky?
Well, to start off, you can't take away from what those players have done this season. Like you said, congratulations to those players. I'm going to be rooting for Patty as well. But I was kind of confused how Keldon nor McDermott didn't make it. They're both shooting 43% from the field, and they've been, known as sharpshooters throughout their whole career. And even Patty personally last year was one of the Spurs' best shooters, and he still didn't make it. When Davis was here, he didn't make it, but when he left to the Wizards, he made it. So it makes no sense. It just
Bigger
seems like
market, Rocky, bigger market.
exactly. It just seems that word snub has been the word of the Spurs fans that, you had Devin Vassell get snubbed for the Rising Stars. So it just makes no sense to me, but I can't take anything away from it. Those players, they deserved it, but I'm going to be rooting for Patty. Hopefully he represents San Antonio well. He's always going to be San Antonio Spur to me.
Yeah. Even though he's with the Nets, he's still representative of the team because not the team, but of the city itself, because I believe he
Hmm.
still has a residence here in Southtown. You know,
Hmm.
so
Oh
you might
wow.
see him here in the
Aw.
summertime. You know, so going to
Aw,
you,
Patty.
Vicky. What did you think about the snub? That Keldon and both Doug McDermott got by not being named to the NBA 3-point shooting contest.
I mean, it's frustrating because of the fact that yeah, Keldon's doing super well, and McDermott, their percentages are way up there. But I guess the issue is that they go with the most made instead of percentage wise. And I mean, that's just a little annoying because just because they're making all these three pointers doesn't mean they're actually effective at making all these three pointers. Like if you look at, yeah, like the ratio of some of these guys, it's not that great. But yeah, I mean, they're the ones that are up there who have made some of the most this season. And obviously, that is an accomplishment in itself. So, I mean, I guess it's understandable, but it is frustrating because of the hard work that we've seen from Keldon and improving his three. And just not getting those little recognitions must be kind of frustrating to them when they think about it. So, I mean, yeah, it is frustrating. Like, yeah, Patty has been a great 3-point shooter. And then just now, as soon as he's with the Nets, he's gonna get picked. Doesn't matter if they're on like a 9-game losing streak. He still got picked. Like, I don't know. There's just some stuff that about All-Star weekend that I feel like will never change. And this is one of those. It's
The
just
small
unfortunate.
market, San Antonio being a small market and being overlooked, a lot of times, it's the norm here. I think Spurs fans as a whole are used to this. The players getting looked over for other players that might not have the same stats.
Mhm.
Like for example, as you stated, both about Keldon and Doug McDermott, specifically about Keldon Johnson. Keldon Johnson's leading the NBA currently in that corner three point shot. He has the highest shooting percentage out of everybody in the NBA right now when it comes to shooting the corner three. But again,
Yeah.
not he was overlooked and not even considered, for the 3-point shooting contest. It is what it is. Maybe they need to really put on a performance where they can not be overlooked. So we'll see what happens moving forward towards the future. But we have the start of the Rodeo Road Trip for the San Antonio Spurs. And it starts tonight at 6 p.m. In a couple of minutes here, they take on the Cleveland Cavaliers, and it's the first game of their 8-game road trip. With this Rodeo Road Trip itself. And the problem is, I was looking to see maybe who's going to be available, who's not going to be available. Latest information that I can find about the Cavs is, it says, uh, per one of the guys that's reporting or gets the official blue check mark for the Cleveland Cavaliers, one Chris Fedor. He says that as of the latest injury report, the Cavs' Darius Garland is questionable with lower back soreness. Laurie Markkinen is out with an ankle injury. Brandon Godwin has been added to the injury report. and is listed as questionable because of illness. And currently with the San Antonio Spurs, we know that Wieskamp and Kaycock are both with the Austin Spurs. Questionables were going to be Trey Jones, but we know now he's not going to be playing tonight. And also Lonnie Walker, right knee soreness. He was going to be questionable. I believe the latest is I don't know if he's still playing or not. I haven't seen the latest injury report, but looking at what Paul Garcia put out there, that's what we had to look with. You had to look forward to or working with right now. So if Markkanen's not playing, we're missing some of the Cleveland Cavalier players are missing, and the Spurs have let's say, somewhat of a full squad there. And we have Zach Collins playing, who's going to be a solid backup at this point to one Jakob Portal, more so than Drew Eubanks. Sorry, Drew. Still got nothing but love for you, man. But it is what it is. I don't know, man. I still have to say that the Spurs haven't convinced me that they can still win on the road. And the Cleveland Cavaliers, even despite missing some of their players, I think are still going to be a formidable foe for the Spurs to overcome. So the Spurs can't get into that trap of not playing, the full 48 minutes. You got to keep your turnovers low. You have to knock down your wide open shots, and you have to play smart team basketball for the full 48 minutes. I don't think the Spurs right now have shown that they've been capable of that. So unfortunately for me, I have to say that the Cavs are going to wind up getting the dub tonight and, to start the Rodeo Road Trip. Vicky, what do you think?
Oh gosh, this is a hard one. I don't know. I think they have an okay chance at competing well, but I mean, we know. I don't know if we're
But
going to. I guess I will say that I would give them more of the benefit of the doubt for this game than later games down the stretch because they are early in the road trip and they've had such a long break. I think they should put up a good fight. And who knows, like you said, we've only gotten to see Collins really one time. So I don't know. I mean, maybe they actually can. They're pretty much a full roster. But if I'm going to go with my original take on what they're going to do through the road trip, it would be a loss.
you're going to take the loss. All right.
Yeah.
Rocky,
Sadly.
what does your heart tell you? Are you going to fare better than me and Vicky, or are you going to complete the trifecta and say that they're going to lose?
Well, to me, they're gonna have a really rough road trip. I talked to some friends and I was looking at the schedule. I think they're gonna be going 3-5 for the road trip. Personally,
And you're a generous man.
an interesting stat though that I heard from Project Spurs own author Jonas Clark when talking about the road trip earlier on the radio. He was saying the Spurs haven't had a positive road trip since 2017, since Kawhi was here. He brought up the fact that they went 2-1 on the road trip last year, but 5 games were postponed. So even though they had a positive record last year, just thinking about that, it's been almost 4 seasons since they had a positive record since Kawhi left, and they had DeMar. DeMar was a superstar, but they still had a bad record then. But this year's not going to change. In the past, the road trip was to see a push towards a playoff, but those times seem to be long gone. This road trip's going to be pretty tough. They have some tough opponents. There's some games that are winnable on the schedule, but 3-5 for me, and I think they start off the road trip with a loss tonight.
Yeah, I'm going 2-6 for this road trip. I think the only wins, again, that they're going to wind up possibly being able to get here are going to be against OKC and possibly the Pelicans. I don't want to fall in that trap with the Wizards. For some reason, I just think that they're going to just get blasted by the Wizards. I hope I'm wrong there, but it might be closer than some people think. But I just don't believe that this team can be consistent throughout this 8-game road trip enough to get some wins. I think they're going to have the lead going into maybe the third or the fourth quarters, but they're going to squander the lead because they get complacent. The inexperience is going to rear its ugly head, and we're going to see them revert back into that hero ball scenario, making boneheaded plays, turnovers, and crucial, minutes in crunch time down the stretch until they learn to go ahead and clean those things up. It's always going to be the same scenario again and again and again. You hope that with a veteran now on the floor again, as in, one Zach Collins, can kind of change the dynamic of that, and help bring some of that veteran leadership, especially when he's playing with the second unit, out there on the court, backing up Jakob Portal. So I like the overall game that Zach Collins has versus Drew Eubanks, But even with that, I think it's still going to be a lot of way too much inexperience to overcome, even with Zach Collins out on the court. So 2-6. Vicky, what did you say that we're going to go? Your
I
record?
said 3-5 also.
3-5. So I'm the
I
lone
can't
one here.
remember who I had said they'd win against.
I think you said
Gotta look at the
OKC was one
schedule.
of them.
I think I said I think they could win. Was it OKC? Maybe. I have to look
OKC was
back.
one of them, and the second one I think you said was the Wizards.
The Wizards. Yeah. Who was the other? Now I'm looking back. Who was I
Oh my
thinking?
goodness, we got to bring the tape back for you, Vicky. No, but the Spurs are playing the Cavaliers. They play the Hawks tomorrow. Well, on Friday. Then on Saturday they play the Pelicans. Then they play the Bulls, Thunder, Wizards, Heat, and they're going to go ahead and end the Rodeo Road Trip with the Grizzlies. So, ouch. Not very good there. I mean, your best
It's not.
bet for them to get wins are going to be against OKC, Pelicans, possibly the Wizards. I don't see them getting a win on the road against the Hawks nor the Bulls.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those were my 3 wins I had on for my record: Pelicans, Thunder, Wizards. Just because Bradley Beal's out.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. That was what I said. It was exactly the same. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I need to see them. I need to see if they I don't know. How are they doing? It's been too long.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that even though the Rodeo Road Trip looks dire, the Spurs. What are you gonna say it? Are you gonna say it?
The
The
silver
Spurs.
lining?
Yes.
Silver
what
and
do
black lining. The Spurs silver and black lining.
Yes, is going to. I
Oh, I
don't
thought
have the data today. I'm sorry. You did it. Nothing happened. I need to go ahead and tell John. Look at Vicky. She went like this. Like she was,
Oh my god.
we were
What
always
is it?
thinking on
What
that.
is the silver and black lining? I don't
The
even
silver and
know.
black lining really is going to be the record of one coach, Greg Popovich. He's 6 wins
Yeah.
away from becoming the winningest coach in NBA history.
I
So
get
that in itself is the Spurs silver and black lining, Vicky, because 6 wins away. They could possibly do that during this Rodeo Road Trip if they have a winning record. But
If they could do that, that would be a win this season.
that would be a big win, and then
Yeah.
just what, tank the rest of the season. Let's go ahead and get that high draft pick.
Yeah. Yeah. It's okay. It's
But
good.
Rocky, what do you think here? I guess that's the silver lining. The whole thing is we're getting closer and closer to Coach Popovich getting the most winningest head coaching record in the NBA. It would mean a lot to San Antonio and the Spurs organization as a whole. Coach Pop, he probably doesn't care too much about that. He's just probably busy coaching and looking at the growth of this team and trying to get them ready for the future. But in your eyes, in your reaction, I mean, what would this mean to you on a personal note?
It would mean something real personal to me because I grew up watching the Spurs. Throughout the 25 years, I've only known Pop, and that's like it's something I've ever known. And like I always joked around, like Pop's like another dad to me. He's San Antonio's dad to everyone. But he's gonna get the record. I mean, there's 28 games left in the season. I said they're gonna go 3-5 this rodeo road trip. You can't tell me that he's not gonna get 3 more wins in 25 games. Like I'm placing all my money on that he gets those 6 in the 28. I mean, get the 6 and then let's just tank it out. Let's go for Paulo or Chet. Just ride it out, see what happens. But it should mean a lot. Like you said, he doesn't really care for the record, but I'm sure there's going to be a big thing happening, and maybe we'll see a little tear come out of it, shed out of his eye. He'll be nice to the reporters for once. He'll be a little sentimental, and then he'll just get back to his old self. But it'll be something nice to see, and something like you said, the silver lining for fans.
Yeah, so there you go. That's one thing that we
Yeah.
got to look forward to. Coach Pop getting that record finally, and hopefully it happens this season because we don't know how many seasons that we're
Yeah.
going to have with Coach Pop. So
It's
I would
gonna
like it to
happen.
happen this season just to be safe. You never know what can happen. Let him go out on
It'll
top.
happen.
But we're going to
It'll
go ahead and start
happen.
bringing this show to a close here because I want to watch the Spurs play the Cavaliers, and I know you guys do too. So this time I do have the lower third. So Vicky, if people want to go ahead and follow you on social media, there it is. You can follow Vicky on Twitter at the Vicky Vix. If you
There
want to
we
go ahead and follow
go.
Rocky here, you can follow Rocky at Rocks Rocks S. It's two S's. Rocks. ROCKSS.
Spelled it right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
he didn't put me Roki today. He put Rocky.
Roki.
no more Roki.
Roki.
I like Roki though.
Roki.
And then you can also follow me at Two Shots Podcast if you want to talk about anything going on in the world of sports, specifically San Antonio Spurs basketball, or just about anything else. You know, I'm a big geek at heart. So if you got any recommendations for me as far as new anime, manga that I should be reading, or playing any video games out there, let me know. I'm always down for recommendations. So that's about all the time we have for today's episode of the Spurs Rewind. Thank you guys so much for listening. And like we always say, spread the love, stop the hate, be kind. We're out. Peace.